Okay, welcome everyone. Great to see you all again today. I hope you're having a good day so far. We're going to do a Rashi from the fourth Aliyah, since it is Wednesday. In yesterday's Aliyah, we actually see the experience of Kriyas Yamsuf itself. If you're wondering what it looked like, you could just refer yourself to Debbie's background. But the Torah does describe a little bit of how the Jewish people passed through the waters and were saved in that moment from the distress that they experienced in the previous Aliyah, which we talked about 2 days ago. So we actually experienced the Kriyas Yamsuf in yesterday's Aliyah, and the follow-up to that is in today's Aliyah, the fourth Aliyah, where the water goes back to normal and the Egyptians begin to be punished. So the fourth Aliyah begins, Vayomer Hashem Moshe netes yadcha ahayam, v'yashuvu hamayim al Mitzrayim al richbo v'al parashab. Now you should put your staff on the water again, not to split it, not to save the Jewish people, but this time to have the waters crash back down to their original position and to drown the Egyptians. And indeed, he does that. Not only does he do that, but Hashem gives a little extra vigor to the water. Vayinaer Hashem es Mitzrayim b'toch hayam. He stirs up the water with the Egyptians inside of it. Rashi gives this very vivid, almost cooking image that many of us can relate to. What is Vayinaer? That he stirred the water. Ka'adam sheminares hakedera, like a person who stirs their pot on the fire. Hofech ha'elyon lamata v'tachton lamala. When you want to make sure there's even heat in the pot, so you take the bottom of the pot and you try to get it to the top, and the top of the pot to get it to the bottom. You try to create that circular motion for an even cooking, even heating. So that's how he stirred up the sea. He put the Egyptians that were on top into the bottom, and the bottoms onto the top, and he stirred them up and up and up and up and over, trying to break them. Not only that, Rashi says he gave them a little bit of extra chiyus, a little extra strength, so they could accept more punishment for their crimes against the Jewish people for all those hundreds of years. And so that's the experience of the punishment of the Egyptians. At the very end of that experience, we read these couple of psukim, which are the preamble, which we say every day, to the actual Shira, to the Shira Sayam, the Az Yashir, which is kind of the centerpiece of this week's Parsha, which we'll get to in tomorrow's Rashi, hopefully, to parts of it anyways. But in the experience of Kriyas Yamsuf, is prefaced with these couple of psukim, which say, Vayosha Hashem bayom ha'osisiyam miyad Mitzrayim, that God saved us on that day from the hand of the Egyptians. Vayar Israel es Mitzrayim mesal svas hayam, and the Jewish people saw the Egyptians dying on the side of the Yam, side of the sea. The question is why we're informed that the Jewish people saw the Egyptians dying at the side of the sea. Number one, how did they see that? If God was drowning them in the sea, right? He was Menar. We just learned that. As Mitzrayim betoch hayam, in the sea. So it meant, they died in the sea, churned them up. Some of them drowned, some of them whatever. But they were in the sea, not outside of the sea. So what does it mean to say al svas hayam? On the banks of the sea. And number two, what's the point of telling us that? Why was it important to know that the Jewish people saw the Egyptians dying on the banks of the Yamsuf? So Rashi explains over here, Vayar Yisrael Mitzrayim Meis, Shepaltam Hayam al Sefaso. That as they were dying in the sea spit them out onto the banks, onto the shores. So that answers question number one. How did they see them al svasayam when they were being killed besochayam? So the answer is there's a miracle that occurred that the sea spit them out after they were killed in the yam, after God was minarosam, after he stirred them up and he was mishaberosam, he broke them in the sea spit them out onto the side. Okay, so that answers question number one about how they got from betochayam till al svasayam. But now question number two, why was that important for us to know, or why was that important for the Jewish people to see? Kedei shelo yomru Yisrael, kashem sha'anu olim mitzad zeh, kach hem olim mitzad acher rachok mimenu v'yirdefu acharenu. It was to dispel any hesitations the Jewish people might have had in their head. They might have thought to themselves, hey, God made a miracle for us. We entered the sea on that side, and now we exited on this side in a totally different place. It could be that the Egyptians were swirling around in the sea now that Moshe, caused the waters to pour back down on them. And maybe now they exited somewhere else where we don't see them, right? So just like we came in here and exited over there, maybe they came in there and exited somewhere else, and now we don't see them, and they're out of the sea, and they're actually alive, and they're going to come and chase after us and chase us down somewhere else along our travels, henceforth in the desert. To dispel that myth, to dispel that fear and that thought, Hashem causes them not only to drown in the sea, but to be expelled onto the shores, so that there's a vayar moment, a moment where Bnei Israel see them dead on the shores, to know that the story is actually over. What this highlights is so important, which is the psychological closure that the Jewish people needed after the experiences of slavery in Egypt. It wasn't just that God could save them and take them out of that place, but the memories of Egypt, the fears of Egypt, the fear of that trauma of so many years of slavery, of generational slavery, was something that was going to stay with them for a long time. And therefore, they needed that psychological closure. So long as the fear of the Egyptians stayed over their heads, so long as they thought, oh, maybe they didn't really drown in the sea, maybe they could have escaped, maybe they're still going to chase after us, so long as they could think that way, they wouldn't be totally free. They wouldn't be totally able to sing the shira of relief, to sing that song of being saved, to really feel saved in that moment. And therefore, God closed the loop for them. He allowed them to see their enemies not only drown, but see them dead on the side of the Yam Suf, to know that the story was truly over. And they could now breathe a sigh of relief and go on to the next stage of their freedom, to the next stage of their national existence, the next stage of their life, to Matan Torah, to Eretz Yisrael, with a clear conscience. And it's something we all need. Sometimes stories are over for us in the physical realm, but not necessarily in the psychological realm, the emotional realm, something that we have to come to terms with, something that we could easily forget and push aside, but something that does really bother us under the surface for a long time until we gain that closure, until that circle is closed for us, and we're able to truly move on in every facet of the experience. Hopefully, we'll be able to gain those moments of clarity, not only being released and experiencing moments of our own freedom, our own salvation, our own growth as people and as a nation, but to do so not just in the physical realm, but in the psychological realm as well. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day. Take care.
Thank you.